Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for November the 9th, 2020. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the Survivor Series pay-per-view, my birthday, November 22nd. Shout out to the chat room for tuning in tonight. Let's go ahead and break this show down. We had a recap of last week. We opened with Miz TV. Miz talked about the six-man tag team match main event, him and John Morrison teaming up with Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre and The New Day. He talked about big things happening. He plugged his new season of Miz and Mrs. Randy Orton came to the ring. He said he only agreed to do this six-man match to get a piece of McIntyre. He said that he feels like Miz put Orton in this match so Orton could have his guard down and Miz could cash in Money in the Bank and win the championship. Orton took a shot at John Morrison, said that he was gone for 9 years in the minor leagues, and talked about how Miz got kicked out of locker rooms. It went back and forth here a little bit. Miz tried to convince Orton that they were on the same page, they should work together. New Day came down to the ring and mocked Miz and Morrison. They got into the ring. Randy Orton hit an immediate RKO on Kofi. Drew McIntyre ran down to the ring. There was a huge brawl with everybody. Miz ended up hitting McIntyre with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then Orton hit an RKO to McIntyre. This was the setup for the final segment. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a good opening segment for the show. Not too bad. We had our first match of the evening, which was Jeff Hardy versus Elias versus Riddle. That's right, just Riddle. TJS with a $3 super chat says, WWE Creative only chooses half measures. Yawn. Hard to argue with that, TJS, especially on Monday Night Raw. Before this triple threat match, Elias did this promo, talked about how things have not been going great for him as of late, but he's going to turn it around. He had a song he wanted to dedicate to his fans that bought his album. He started to sing, but then stopped himself several times, thinking he was going to get interrupted like he does every week. When that interruption did not happen, he finally got to his song, but then, you guessed it, Jeff Hardy's music interrupted. Hero Villain 5 with a $5 Canadian super chat says, sorry off topic, but rest in peace Alex Trebek. He was part of WrestleMania 7. Yes, very sad, the death of Alex Trebek. Before I get to Raw, I will say, very unfortunate, but he had a great life. He had a great career. One of the best TV hosts of all time, in my opinion. It's just a shame, though, that he could not beat his cancer. I think we were all hoping maybe he would beat the odds. The odds were against him. Maybe he could have survived another 10 years. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. But what a career that he had. What a legacy. Oofman Entertainment with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Oofman. He says, how much longer till WWE adds an R to the end of Riddle? The Riddler. Hopefully that never happens, but you never know with WWE. That would be a disaster in my opinion. And Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, riddle me this, Aaron. Why the name Riddle? I guess the idea is that the one name instead of Matt Riddle, you shorten it to just one name, it's more marketable. WCW did it back in the day with Bill Goldberg. They just called him Goldberg. They rarely called him Bill. I think Bret Hart did, but Bret Hart was never really the biggest Goldberg fan. And over the years, we've seen WWE do it with numerous guys, but Matt Riddle sounded fine. Like, I get Alexander Rusev, that's a mouthful, and Antonio Cesaro, I get it, Cesaro. Those made more sense. Matt Riddle being shortened to Riddle, doesn't really make sense to me. I think it's unnecessary. Matt Riddle, perfectly fine name. But there's also the whole deal where I guess WWE feels that people will search Matt Riddle on Google and find results about that lawsuit and the whole controversy with Candy Cartwright. So anyways, we had this triple threat match. They took turns trying to roll each other up early in the match. AJ Styles was watching backstage with his bodyguard. Elias hit the drift away onto Hardy, but then Riddle stopped the pin and then hit the Bro Derek to pin Elias. Elias's luck did not turn around this week. Riddle picks up the win. And then backstage, Adam Pearce shook hands with AJ Styles. Apparently they had some sort of agreement. Styles was interviewed. He said he was happy about Riddle being on the team. Sheamus confronted Styles. He was pissed off about Riddle being added to the match, added to the team. Styles said that they were going to have a team meeting in the ring. Strowman came in and said that Styles is not his captain. And this was just the beginning of this turmoil on this show. Mike Garcia with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Mike. He says, I have not watched in years, wanted to come in and say hi. How's it going, Mike? Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you'll stick around for some more. But if not, I do appreciate you coming in for this one. We had Ali backstage with Retribution. Remember them? They still exist. Ali cut a promo and applauded Ricochet for turning down the Hurt Business, but then added that Ricochet is a damn fool and said that one man cannot change everything. Ali said that him and Retribution will not rest until Ricochet is shut down. Mo Cameron with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you, Mo. Says, The Fiend will miss a third pay-per-view in a row, shaking my head. Better to miss a pay-per-view and not be buried. I guess that's a positive spin on it. I'm sure The Fiend will be in the main event of the TLC pay-per-view. I would suspect that to happen. We had Drew Gulak meeting up backstage with the Hurt Business, and he talked about an expansion. He wanted to join the group. He is the current, at the time of this promo, 24/7 champion. He was dressed up. However, MVP said they were not accepting new applications at this time. And then furthermore, Lashley pulled off his tie to reveal that Gulak was wearing a clip-on tie. And MVP was very insulted by that. Hurt Business beat the crap out of Gulak. And then R-Truth comes in and he's like the scavenger. He picks the bones. He covers Gulak and wins his baby back. The 36-time 24/7 I-95 South champion. I do not give a shit. I'm over it. 24/7 title should have been dead a year ago. And yet, it just keeps on going. We had Lana versus Shayna Bazer, because we all thought there was a chance Lana could actually beat Shayna Bazer. Actually, 6 months ago, I would have said no way, but knowing how WWE books these days, nothing would surprise me. We had Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke on commentary to watch their partners in action. Is Lana still on the Survivor Series team? I don't even know at this point, nor do I care. Shayna had her way with Lana. She hit a knee strike and could have beaten Lana with that, but she pulled Lana up at 2 and then put on the Kira Fuda clutch, and Lana tapped out. After the match, Nyah started getting the table ready for her weekly destruction of Lana, but then Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke stepped in to make the save. There was a face-off, and then backstage, Lana thanked Mandy and Dana for saving her, but they said they only did it to send a message to Shayna and Nyah, and said that if Lana wanted help, best thing to do is stay out of their way. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, what made the hardcore title better than the 24/7 title? Well, for one thing, at the time, doing a title change 10 times in a match, at least it was fresh. Now, it's not. It's been done before. If you come up with some new ideas, I'm okay with the 24/7 title, but it's pretty clear to me WWE ran out of ideas a year ago. They did have some fresh ideas with it, but now they're just doing the same thing over and over again. It just passed its expiration date. It was cute to bring back, it was like a modern version of the hardcore title, and they did a couple things in the early couple of weeks with it, but to me it quickly fizzled out. We had our meeting. The captain had the meeting with his team members for Survivor Series. AJ Styles introduced the teammates and talked about how Riddle is the missing piece. Then there was an argument between everybody. They were arguing at each other about who attacked who last week, and Strowman said he was going to whoop everyone's asses. Styles was trying to get control. Riddle felt like they should each have their own code name, their own team name for Survivor Series, and he gave Sheamus the name Fireface. Yeah, Fireface. And then Sheamus responded by saying Riddle's name should be Dopey. Yeah. This was pure cringe. This was maybe the cringiest segment on Raw since the Thunderdome era began. This was just next level bad. Like, some segments actually have a negative effect. Like, there are segments that get me hyped for a pay-per-view, and every now and then you get this segment that's so awful that it actually makes me feel less excited for a match, and I'm actually dreading this match more than I was a week ago, this men's Survivor Series match. And I grew up on the Survivor Series elimination matches. They were so much fun back in the day, and now I'm just dreading this. It's awful. Like, did a 10-year-old write this segment? It wasn't funny. I don't have any desire to see the match. What did it accomplish? Styles tried to get Law and Order, but then announced that what he was talking to Adam Pearce about earlier was that there would be a tag match. Sheamus and Strowman against Riddle and Lee, with Styles as the special guest referee. We had the match after the commercial break, and Sheamus was getting in Styles' face, and then at one point Riddle accidentally kicked Styles, and then Strowman and Keith Lee accidentally squashed Styles like a sandwich in the middle of the ring. We then had another commercial break. Match continued. So basically we got like 3 long segments out of all this, and it was just pure cringe in my opinion. The match continued. Lee used Riddle to do a spirit bomb onto Sheamus, and then Sheamus managed to make a comeback. But then he kicked his own partner, Strowman. Strowman had tagged himself in, and Sheamus was not happy about it. So when Sheamus tagged himself back in, he gave Strowman the brogue kick. However, that led to Riddle rolling up Sheamus. Stupid heel. At least it's the heel being stupid this time. And Riddle picked up the victory. 2 victories for Riddle in one night. Looks like the push, as they say, is back on. Justin Brosnan with a €5 super chat. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. He says, do you think Big Show will return at Survivor Series and be a surprise teammate? Then main event WrestleMania, turn heel, and shock the world. I'm all for that. Like I said, Big Show should appear on every show and turn every week. Why not at this point? By the way, NoDQ.com/merch. You could pick up a No DQ mug You can pick up a no DQ mask. Stay safe out there, even though there is some encouraging news about the vaccine. The virus is still a problem. And you can pick up a NoDQ.com mask. You can stay safe, keep others safe, and promote the website. NoDQ.com/merch. PsychoJet Black with a $2 super chat says, what would shock the world is a good Ricochet promo. Ooh, low blow there. Sick burn there from PsychoJet Black. Ricochet always getting those burns from PsychoJet Black. Backstage, we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Alexa said she did not remember what happened with her meeting between her and Nikki on last week's show. And Alexa apologized to Nikki, saying she was sorry that she did not invite Nikki to the Firefly Funhouse. Nikki said that it's not a game. She's not playing. Nikki apologized for what The Fiend did to Alexa. However, Nikki said that Alexa needs to make a choice, either her or The Fiend, because The Fiend is pure evil. Alexa responded by making her choice. She chooses him. Mike Garcia with the $2 super chat says, I'm sorry that you have to watch this shit, LOL. Well, thank you for that. It's tough for Raw. I'm not going to lie. It's tough. Smackdown is easier. AEW's pretty easy most weeks. But yeah, Raw's been difficult. I would not recommend watching a 3-hour Raw to anybody out there. If you're going to watch it or follow it, watch the YouTube clips. You can watch me and then, based off of what I say, watch a couple YouTube clips, and you'll more or less be up to speed with what's going on. And by the way, Alexa Bliss, maybe the best thing about Raw right now, and this was her only segment, this short backstage segment with Nikki, and that was it. I was a little disappointed, I have to say. Like, I want to see more Alexa. I'm enjoying the stuff with The Fiend, but again, going back to earlier, if The Fiend's not going to be part of Survivor Series, I guess why put him on TV for no reason? But then again, WWE does a lot of stuff on TV for no reason. We had MVP and Bobby Lashley in the ring for a promo. Next week it's going to be the Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander against the Street Profits. Actually, not Street Profits. New Day for the Raw Tag Team titles. See, I forget which team's on which show sometimes because the brand extension just doesn't really matter. And MVP talked about how Lashley is going to turn Sami Zayn into a human ragdoll. Talk about another match I do not care about. Lashley versus Sami Zayn. Is Sami going to drop the title? Because that match just seems like a complete waste of time, in my opinion. Like, who's really going to benefit from it? I mean, either Sami gets squashed or Sami gets a fluke win. And WWE has actually booked Lashley pretty well. Lashley has not lost a match, I believe, since he faced Drew McIntyre back in July, was it? I think it was July. We had Titus O'Neil come to the ring, and he was upset about being turned down by the Hurt Business the other week, and said he wanted a title match against Lashley. Lashley did accept the match and said this would be the first and last opportunity that Titus gets, and it was a pretty short match here. Titus, he got some punches in. But then Lashley hit the spear. He put on the Hurt Lock. He seemed to struggle getting the Hurt Lock on. And I felt like Titus was tapping out before Lashley even got the hold on all the way. It looked pretty bad. And Lashley finally got it on, and the bell was called. And that was the end of it. But yeah, this was just not even worth my time, quite frankly. We had Sheamus backstage venting to Drew McIntyre about his tag team partners at Survivor Series, and Drew said maybe Sheamus should not have bro kicked his own tag team partner. And it was brought up that later Drew McIntyre would be teaming up with the New Day, and Sheamus said he doesn't like the New Day. Drew started doing the New Day clap to tease his buddy. Sheamus said he wanted to team up like the old days, and Drew said after he wins the WWE title, maybe they'll have a bunch of pints. He listed off all the pints. None of them I'm familiar with because I do not drink. But I do like these segments because I think this is a clear direction. Sheamus is going to feud with Drew McIntyre. Would not shock me if Sheamus ends up costing Drew the WWE title, and that sets up their match at some point, maybe TLC or Royal Rumble in January. But yeah, I like this slow build, teasing a feud between these two. That should be a pretty good one. We had Asuka versus Nyah Jax. Before the match, Nyah cut a promo, said she was upset that everyone, they're running their mouths, including Shayna. And Nyah said she is the team captain. Blah, blah, blah. We got the same storyline here as the men arguing over the team captain of the match. Kind of boring, in my opinion. We had this match. Mandy, Dana, Lana, they were all there at ringside. Asuka ended up knocking Shayna onto the members of Team Raw. And then Asuka got the Asuka lock on Nyah. However, before Nyah could potentially tap out, Shayna got into the ring and caused a disqualification. There was a big fight afterwards, and guess what happened, guys? Lana was left by herself, and for the 8th week in a row, well, not in a row, 8 out of 9, because that 1 week that Shayna and Nyah missed, Lana got put through the table by Nyah Jax. And then Nyah got on the mic and said Lana does not belong in WWE. She should just quit. I mean, I find it funny that they're doing this, but at the same time, I'm like, where's this going? I mean, let's be real here. Are they going to try to push Lana, or are they really just going to keep doing this till she's taken off TV for good? Like, what's going on here? And I really don't care what ends up happening. I am entertained, though, by Lana getting put through the table every week. Maybe they will do it for 50 weeks. Who knows? Speaking of another guy that I do not care about at this point, Angel Garza was backstage, a little promo here. Talked about having his heart on his sleeve, but he will do anything to win. He's fighting for all the women, and he held up a rose and said this was for all the women. I think this would be a lot more effective if they were actual vignettes of Angel Garza instead of just these backstage promos. What they were doing with Bianca Belair, do that with Angel Garza. Like, let's do some vignettes. If you're gonna try to repackage him and build him up again, like, you got to do the vignettes. To me, doing these backstage promos, very lazy. R-Truth came to the ring for a 7-way 24/7 title match. And going back to earlier, I was asked about the hardcore title and the 24/7 title. Yeah, this was like a hardcore title moment where we had something like 6 or 7 title changes during the match. Tucker ended up winning the title at some point. So it was Tucker, Eric of the Viking Raiders, Lucha House Party, Tozawa, Gulak, and Truth. Tozawa won in about a minute, but then Eric rolled him up to win the title. Gulak rolled up Eric to win the title. Tucker with an inside cradle pinned Gulak to win his first championship in WWE. So he won a title before Otis. Then Gulak reversed it to immediately win the title back. And then Tucker reversed that cradle again to win the title for a second time. And then Grand Metalik pinned Tucker. And then Lince Dorado rolled up Metalik, his own partner, to win the title. And then R-Truth finally with an AA pinned Dorado and won the title. So it just went full circle. Boring. Another awful segment. And again, if it was original, I'd be a little more accepting of it. But it was just, hey, let's just rehash the hardcore title again. Like, it's just the same old crap. I want to see something different. I'm tired of it. And it's been like this for a while. So I'm like, can we just move on here, please? We had Ali versus Ricochet, which was far and away the best thing on the show. I do not care about Retribution at this point. I'm over it. Ricochet has been booked so poorly over the past 7-8 months. Really, since he lost to Lesnar, it's been all downhill. But man, these guys had a hell of a match. Makes me feel even worse for these guys because they deserve better. But the match was awesome. If there's anything you're going to go out of your way to see this week, it would be this match. Retribution was on the outside of the ring. Ali was yelling at Ricochet, saying he could save Ali, or save Ricochet, I should say. And it went back and forth between these guys. Ali, with a shot to the eye, got the upper hand, and then he did this top rope super backstabber, which was crazy. That was awesome. Ricochet kicked out of that. Ricochet made a comeback. He went up to the top and did this spinning dive off the top, like a 750. I don't even know what the degrees were for it, but he just spun around many times as he jumped off the top rope onto all the members of Retribution, wiped them out. But unfortunately, that was his undoing. That was his downfall. He went for the Phoenix Splash, but he missed due to not taking care of Ali sooner. And then Ali put on a submission. I forgot the name of it, but Ali won the match. Ricochet actually passed out instead of tapping out, so I liked that finish. And Ali gets a win here. First win, I think, since Retribution was formed. Correct me if I'm not. So yeah, match was really good. It's too bad Retribution is just the complete shits at this point, but they had a damn good match. It very much reminded me of like WCW 2000, where the booking was just so bad, but every now and then these guys would go out there and despite the terrible booking, despite nobody being over, the guys would go out there and still have a killer match, and that's what these guys did. Mike Garcia with a $2 super chat says, this company will be better after Vince McMahon is dead, ? Well, going back to what CM Punk said, maybe, but then the doofus son-in-law and idiotic daughter will take over. It's hard to say. I think it will probably be different, but will it be better? Who knows? If NXT is any indication, maybe there's hope, but there's no guarantee. For all the shit that Vince gets, Vince has run a very successful business now for many decades. Backstage, it was Randy Orton and Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce said that next week, Randy will be defending the WWE title against Drew McIntyre in a rematch from Hell in a Cell. Orton was very pissed off about this. He grabbed Adam by the throat, and he had a message for Adam to give to the staff. He told the staff to go to hell. We had our main event, the 6-man tag team match. Randy Orton teaming up with Miz and Morrison against Drew McIntyre and the New Day. New Day had a hot start. Randy Orton was protesting. He was just standing on the outside of the ring, refusing to tag into the match. And Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat, going back to Ricochet real quick, says, seriously, would Ricochet be better booked if he had decent promo skills? He has great wrestling skills, but man, his character sucks. Well, the thing is, you could book him like a Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was never the best talker, probably better than Ricochet, though. But Rey was booked as an underdog, yet Ray would have some credibility. The problem is Ricochet's credibility died at that Super Showdown pay-per-view when he basically just got squashed by Lesnar. He should have put up at least a little bit of a better fight and just had a better win-loss record. And I believe he actually did have a really good win-loss record for a while, but then he kind of just became a joke and was just a bit player instead of being a focal point on the shows every week. You know, he had the really cool entrance, and, you know, WWE could have done a better job with him, in my opinion, as the whole presentation goes. And you don't have to give him much mic time, just keep his promos short. Anyways, back to the main event. After the commercial break, Randy Orton still refused to tag in. Drew McIntyre got the hot tag from Xavier Woods, took out Miz and Morrison, hit the future shock to Morrison, and then put Morrison's body in the corner, dared Randy Orton to tag in. Orton teased the idea of tagging in, but then he did not. He grabbed his WWE title, and he walked off. Match continued for a few more minutes. Morrison tried to roll up McIntyre and put his feet on the ropes, but was unsuccessful. And then McIntyre hit the Claymore to pin Morrison. And we'll go on with some momentum heading into next week's show. Next week's show should be a bigger deal than this week. This week, pretty much a nothing show, boring show, with the exception of Ricochet versus Ali. So again, if I had to recommend one thing on this show, it would be Ali and Ricochet. Everything else, pretty skippable in my opinion. I am going to give the show a C-. Below par Raw. Very cringy stuff with the men's Survivor Series match. But the Orton and McIntyre stuff was not bad. The beginning segment was not bad. And Ricochet and Ali pretty much saved this show. Like, I was going in the D range until Ali and Ricochet saved it, pretty much, from being a total waste of a program. Good old JM, the Jeff Meacham Network, with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Jeff. He says, fun stat for today's birthday boy, Chris Jericho. He was conceived while his dad was still with the LA Kings. No wonder he's wrestling royalty. I did not know that, Jeff. And by the way, you got that 24/7 title match from tonight to use as a future wrestling trivia challenge question. Who was the fourth person to win on the November 9th, 2020 edition of Monday Night Raw? Who was the fourth person to win that 24/7 title? As far as letter grades go, Mr. Anderson with a D, Kev with a D. Michael Gonzalez says outside of Orton, Raw is a D. Michael Wynn with a C-. David Norden, not sure if he's trolling, says A, it was not boring. Lewis with a D-. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a D. Amanda with a C. Israel Diaz with a D. It's the Costanza with an F. Michael Heiss with a C+. And Bruce Marvel 88 with a D. Mike Garcia with a $2 super chat says, remember any pay-per-view matches between The Rock versus Kane? Ooh, that's a good one. Not that I can recall. I know they were in multi-man matches. Sometimes they teamed together. I remember that one time there was a match in Vegas where The Rock made fun of Kane as Kane would potentially win the jackpot. But I'm not sure if that was a one-on-one match and you're talking about pay-per-view matches. Maybe Jeff Meacham knows. Maybe Jeff in the chat room can answer your question. But I believe they had some singles matches on TV, just not sure about pay-per-view. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. We got the No DQ review coming up. And it's going to be interesting because Jeff Meacham and myself, we really enjoyed the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. However, Robbie, Vice, and Virtue were not so impressed with it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to debate it. Tune in for that. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And I'll be back to recap AEW. We got Smackdown. A lot of content coming up this week. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. And thank you, Hero Villain 5, for the Beatles shirt comment. Take care, everybody. And wait a minute. Mike Garcia with the $2 super chat says your all-time favorite matches from The Rock. Okay, real quickly here, off the top of my head. The 1998 ladder match with Triple H. Actually, most of the matches with Triple H were great. The Iron Man match from Judgment Day was great. The Backlash match when Rock won the title. Rock versus Austin, WrestleMania 17 and 19 would be on the top of the list. Versus Mankind, the halftime heat match would be up there. Those are the ones that I think of off the top of my head. Rock had some really good ones with Kurt Angle as well. The match where Angle won the title, and then the one where Rock won it back, No Way Out. A lot of good ones. Lesnar, SummerSlam 2002. So those are the ones that stand out to me the most. Anyway, guys, I'm off to bed. Take care, everybody, and see you next time.